My upcoming game, Pixel Washer, is being published by Acclaim, and I'm really excited about this. So I wanted to talk to you about Pixel Washer itself and Acclaim and how the two are going to work together to hopefully bring you a great game. This is really big news for me. It's a big step up, and I'm excited to tell you all about it. So let's jump in. So first off with Pixel Washer, it is a chill, relaxing game about power washing pixels. It's very simple. It's meant to be a wholesome, cozy game. It's pretty minimalist, and you can right now add it to your Steam wash list. In Pixel Washer, you pick a job to wash, you go to that level, you power wash everything, you spray it with your power washer, or you shoot water projectiles at it until everything's washed. Very simple gameplay, very satisfying, very straightforward. Once you're done, you get paid for your job. On your way back home, you can see your expenses, how much gas you spent, how much fluid for washing stuff you spent, and then you get paid for that. And you're done. You're back at your headquarters. There you have a store where you can buy stuff. You can upgrade your power washer, you can buy new guns, you can buy better transportation, and you can also upgrade your headquarters a little bit. But that's the whole game loop. You pick another job, you get paid, you get back to your headquarters, upgrade stuff, and then you rinse and you repeat. If that sounds fun to you, go add Pixel Washer to your Steam watch list. So Acclaim is a new publishing label under the classic banner Acclaim that some of you might know from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. If you're not familiar with Acclaim itself, you're surely familiar with some of the giant franchises they've published over the years, and that includes big games like NBA Jam, Mortal Kombat, Turok, Shadow Man. There's a bunch. And in my household growing up, they were a household name. Like, I've got some of my very favorite games right here. This is Wizards and Warriors, was one of my very favorite games. I used to rent this at the local video store. It was $2 a night, and at the time that was my weekly allowance. So sometimes the only thing I got to spend any money on was renting Wizards and Warriors and getting to play it for a day. There's also Iron Sword, Wizards and Warriors 2, one of my favorites. I loved this game and its music so much that I made a remix as a college project, weirdly, from one of the songs. I'll probably be playing that in the background now, and I'll put a link in the description or whatever, but you can go listen to that. I played real guitar in that. It was part of the assignment, is I had to record a musical instrument, but everything else I made, with a mouse in Cubase. And then Wizards and Warriors 3. I love these games. There's three of them. This one's really cool. You can play as different classes, like a wizard and a thief and stuff. And there's other games like Swords and Serpents that I loved and my brothers loved when we were growing up. So Acclaim was very familiar to us. What's so funny about the name is that it was chosen out of spite. So Acclaim was founded by ex-Activision employees, and they wanted their new publishing label name to appear above Acclaim in alphabetical lists. So they named the company out of spite, which is so funny. And actually Activision founded itself as Activision for the same reason. They wanted to be above Atari in other lists. So I just think it's so funny that they named their companies out of spite. I've got a meme that I post sometimes, like different versions of it, but it's called Why Make Games? Check all that apply. And some of the reasons you can check include for fun, for money, for revenge, and for spite. And I just think it's so funny that these companies chose spite as a reason to pick their names. So that's my history with Acclaim. That version of Acclaim no longer exists. I believe it was like the mid-2000s when that stopped being a thing, but the brand has been picked up by a brand new team, and they're publishing indie games. And I think that's so cool, obviously, because I'm on board here. And I wanted to take a moment to spotlight some of the other games they're publishing, because Pixel Washer is obviously not the only game that they've announced. They did a really cool, they called it the Play Acclaim Showcase, which they launched on YouTube, and I'll put a link to that in the description and stuff as well. But this was a really cool, kind of like Nintendo Direct style video they did, where they showed off kind of the first run of games that they're publishing. And, naturally I feel very close to these games. I haven't played any of them yet or met any of the devs, but I'm excited to do that. I hope I get to do that someday. But I wanted to enumerate them, to shine a spotlight on them, and kind of give you a feel for what Acclaim is going for, because I really like their strategy of like throwing out a big net and publishing lots of different types of games, because that's the Acclaim that I remember that I grew up with, was like sports games and fighting games and side-scrolling platformers and just all kinds of games. So the first one is Caught-A-Knot. Caught-A-Knot is a fast-paced, Metroidvania-inspired action roguelite blending fluid combat and cosmic horror. The pixel art looks really cool. I'm a big fan of cosmic horror stuff. It's one of my favorite types of science fiction. And Caught-A-Knot has that kind of gritty, dark look. Might remind some people of something like Dead Cells. Very cool looking game. I really need to play it because it's out now. You can go ahead and buy that one now. Next we have Basketball Classics, and I just think it's so smart of Acclaim to publish a game like this, because a lot of people, when they think of Acclaim, they think of NBA Jam, because NBA Jam was a huge franchise back in the day. It was one of the biggest arcade games ever, right? And because a lot of fans are going to be expecting basketball games, like they came right out of the gate having one available. And this is another one that's available today. So that's Basketball Classics. It's got a really cool pixel art style, which obviously I'm making a game called Pixel Washer, so I'm a big fan of pixel art games, so check that out if that interests you. The Prisoning Fletcher's Quest. After a psychological visit goes terribly wrong, you find yourself trapped in the mind of a game developer on the brink of physical and emotional burnout during the final stages of an intense project. This reminds me a little bit of a game that I made called Indie Game Sim, which was a game about you making your own games for a market a lot like Steam, and this game is on Steam, and manipulating the market, making your own games to publish there. It's got kind of a whimsical style. Again, really beautiful pixel art and a side-scrolling platformer format. Hyper Yuki Snowboard Syndicate. Race, compete, and explore the slopes as a colorful cast of unique characters. This has a really cool style, and I think a lot of people are going to be reminded of classic games that I think was on Dreamcast, like Jet Grind Radio or Jet Set Radio, Jet Set Future, like that whole series of kind of punkish, super stylized, very colorful, kind of like bombastic, sports adjacent games in big cities, usually with like that cell shaded kind of style that something like Borderlands or maybe Crackdown had back in the day. Very stylized, very cool looking. I've spent a lot of time playing games like these, so I'm looking forward to checking it out. In Toss Down, you run, jump, and dash through chaos, dodging hazards and enemies as you deliver packages. This one is really fun looking, very, again, action-packed. It doesn't have the cell shaded, it looks kind of more realistic, but it is stylized, very 3D, very cool looking. What's funny about this one is the developer Fur had actually read my book, How to Make a Video Game All by Yourself, which you can also see back there. And they listed it as something that helped them inspire them to make a game by themselves. And then now we're both having our games published under the same label. Like how cool is that, right? Oh yeah, it bills itself as Crazy Taxi meets Jet Set Radio. So that's, yeah, that tracks. Grid Beat, Dungeons, Danger, Rhythm, Action. You just hacked into the biggest corporation in the world and stole an unfeasibly valuable amount of data, but getting in was the easy part. This is a really stylized game. This was something that I think they showed first in the Acclaim showcase. Very stylized, looks like a classic arcade game. It's got that kind of Geometry Wars look, and it's got like fast-paced, frenetic gameplay. Looks really cool. Ground Zero Hero is an action roguelite with light survival elements set in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. And I haven't played this one yet, it's not out yet, but it looks really cool. And the vibes that I get remind me a lot of, now this is not a Acclaim game, but if you ever played or heard of Toe Jam and Earl, my brothers and I used to play this all the time growing up, and we didn't even realize, but like this is a roguelike, or roguelite, I guess you'd call it, but that's how the game was designed, and I played this a million years before I'd even heard of Rogue. And I could be wrong that about the vibes, but that's what I get. Is that Toe Jam and Earl kind of like surrealist, kind of like whimsical and very wacky feel, and that's the look and feel I get when I look at Ground Zero Hero. But it looks like a lot of fun. I used to love these games growing up. And then Talaka, and forgive me if I mispronounce any of these. I'm just getting to know these games like you probably are. But dive into a hand-painted world where myths come alive and turn against you. The hand-painted aspect really gets me. Like I'm an artist, and I just love it when people create things with their hands. And this game has that really cool kind of gritty look to it. You know, it looks handmade and it feels handmade, but it still looks and feels super stylized and polished. It reminds me a lot of Shadow of the Beast, which was a game that was like late 80s, early 90s, but it looked beautiful. It was a side-scrolling platformer, and it was showing off the technical things you could do with the new fancy hardware they had at that decades ago. But in Talaka, the gameplay looks like way tighter and way more polished and more fun. And then obviously there's my game Pixel Washer, which I think is an interesting choice because it kind of gives something for everyone, right? Like if you're looking for a cosmic horror game, you've got Cautonaut. If you're looking for like more of a frenetic arcade, action-packed kind of abstract-looking game, you've got Gridbeat. But if you're a chill gamer and you just want to have a relaxing time and you're looking for something minimalist, looking for something minimalist and simple that you could just spend some evenings with, just relaxing and power watching pixels, you've got Pixel Washer in there too. And I love that we kept the key art that I made a while back, where I used my fancy camera here to take like real photos of dioramas that I had made, because that was inspired by games of that Acclaim era, such as Super Mario Brothers 2. Famously, there was a Nintendo Power cover where they had, I think it was like made of clay or something like that, but you know, an actual Mario character there, King Frog in the background. And you know, some of those pixelated games back in the day would use like photos of real things to help promote their game, and that's what I did with Pixel Washer, and I love that we're kind of keeping that going. So a question I've had a lot since I signed this deal was, why sign with a publisher? I would say that most indie game devs I talk to are self-publishing, and I've done that, and I get that. And I do think in general that that's kind of the way to go. And when working on Pixel Washer, my plan was to just go ahead and self-publish. My plan actually was to launch the demo with the Steam Next Fest earlier this year, back in June, and then probably a month later or so, pretty soon after that Next Fest, to go ahead and launch it. And it would have been scoped down way more. It wouldn't have had this whole game loop. I think it probably just would have been a collection of a bunch of levels to watch just in a cycle. So like a way simpler game. But there's 4 main reasons that I wanted to work with a publisher. Number 1 is I got to expand the scope of Pixel Washer significantly. So I wanted to spend another year on the game, but I didn't really have the runway for that. And so with Acclaim, I have the ability to do that now, as I got to spend about another year working on the game and making it better. Reason number 2 is I get to focus on making the game explicitly without having to worry as much about marketing, localization, porting, and some other stuff. Because as a solo dev, as many of you I'm sure know, when you're making the game all by yourself, you've got to make the whole game, but you also, in the back of your mind, you're worrying about things like marketing, you're worrying about things like QA and localization, and you know, you need other people's help for certain parts of the whole process, right? And so being able to depend upon other people to help me out with like the marketing especially, which I don't think I'm particularly good at, that has been so liberating for me. Like the last several months, I've been able to focus full-time just on making Pixel Washer a decent game, and like that's such a load off, right, that I know I've got a team helping me out with the other stuff. Reason 3 is I can take Pixel Washer further than I could on my own, and this I know for certain because the game would already be out by now. I had very low expectations for what the game would do, right? And getting to work on it for another year, I'm going to be able to make the game way better. Having people on the team who are out there making connections, talking to content creators and stuff like that, helping me week by week, make sure I'm on track, helping me with production, getting me any support that I need, having them there to help me with that. I know for sure I can take Pixel Washer further with the help of Acclaim than I could have on my own. So I wanted to work with them for that reason. And then reason 4 is the most important reason to me. It's because while I have self-published games before, I have not worked with a publisher in this capacity before. So regardless of anything else happening, I wanted to do it just because it's an experience I didn't have, right? And I've already been learning so much. I've improved all my documentation. I've hired some people, some contractors to come on board and help me with the game. I'm learning new skills. I'm exercising muscles I haven't used in ages, or maybe didn't even have. So I've had to develop new skills as I go. And so not having published with a publisher before, that was my main reason that I wanted to do it, is just to get that experience of having done it. If you haven't self-published a game on Steam before, or any major platform like the Play Store for Android, or really anything like that, I recommend doing that. I would recommend doing the whole process, you know, come up with a concept, make the game, publish it, get it out there. You don't even have to worry too much about like marketing and trying to get sales for your first game, right? You can just get it out the door and see the whole process top to bottom, right? I think that once you've done that, you'll have a way better perspective on the whole thing to see whether you would want to work with a publisher, and if you decide to, what that relationship would look like. So I think that's the best thing to do, is if you haven't done it before, go ahead and self-publish, and then, you know, maybe game 2 or 5 or whatever, if you're interested in it, then you could start talking to publishers. So that's it. I wanted to get the word out there. I wanted to let everybody know what's going on with the game. I have more things that I want to put out there. I posted an article on my website, vladria.com, how I got a publisher for my indie game, where I spell through the steps of, like, I did this first, I made a demo, I met some people, made some connections, you know. If that's interesting, check out the article, and maybe I'll make another episode where I kind of talk through that with you. Another one is 6 things that I think helped me find a publisher, and those are just the tips I can give for, like, this is what worked for me and this might work for you as well. So stay tuned if those interest you. I'd also love to see you in the Vladria Discord, and of course I would appreciate it if you would add Pixel Washer to your Steam watch list. And on the article I'll link to Acclaim is publishing my game Pixel Washer. There will be links to all the other really cool looking indie games that Acclaim is publishing. So really exciting times ahead. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your game.